Okay.
Yes, housing expenditure has residential expenditure driven by the public sector that has declined, as you will see. Well, it implies that fewer houses are being built. Probably priorities have shifted, and as you will see, it's more about roads, it's about construction, and that has gone up of public infrastructure such as roads and so on, which has increased quite significantly. If you see, that one has declined by almost 13%, the other one has increased quite substantially. You would have seen that there are two public institutions that have been responsible for a substantial amount of investment. Those are namely ESCOM and Transnet. And we know that there's been Midupi, Kusili, and all those that have been constructed, and then, of course, acquisition of rail equipment, including coaches. So that's where the bulk of the expenditure has been, and that's where I think, if you think about in terms of economics, the stimulus to stimulate economy have been largely in those two areas.
The other issue, Statistician General, is the issue that the overall expenditure by public or by the government has only gone up 18%. Is this 18 billion or million? Is this reflective of the current economic condition and maybe tax revenues that the government is getting, that perhaps they are constrained as well? Because when you look at it, it is just a tick upwards. It's not a substantial increase.
Well, I mean, it depends what the plan had been. And unfortunately, I can't say what the plan was. The only thing is, looking at what the information is available, it shows that it has increased by 18 billion. But over a period of 5 years, we can see it's 1.2 trillion, and it has been inching up throughout that time. But of course, you have to say against what plan. That's why we are referring to the NDP. And in specific terms in those areas, we need to say what would have been the plan in terms of public infrastructure spending, and whether that plan has been followed or not.
I'm noting also the fact that there has been somewhat of an increase in electricity infrastructure. Last week during the ESCOM results presentation, we noted that they've electrified around 200,000 homes. Could those two figures be speaking to each other by any chance when you look at the provincial spend on particularly electricity infrastructure?
If you look at expenditure on electricity, it's largely spent by mines and factories. Homes' component of expenditure is very, very, very small. I mean, on electricity. Yes, there could have been 200,000 households electrified, and of course, putting those poles and electric wires should cost. But largely, if you look at expenditure on electricity, it's largely by these big industries. So in terms of providing that infrastructure, you would say provision of infrastructure towards that would be a more substantial component of the expenditure. But if it means to housing, may not be as big.
Anyone else?